So let's make the strap now. What you do is you place the right side of the strap with the right side of the lining. That is if you have right side of a lining, because some of them always come as the same, whichever way. Since it's going to be hidden, doesn't really matter. So the first thing I did is I give it a curve to make that place kind of U shape. So I'll get a curve, after which I place it on the right side of the line. But before then, I'm going to attach the foam to it so that it won't shift when I'm sewing. Or another way you can also do the foam is that after sewing, you fix it inside. But sometimes I actually do not get it right using that method. So I prefer to place the foam on it and sew. After which I will now put it on the lining and sew, then turn it inside out. So you just keep sewing like so, and we're not going to be sewing the upper part. So the upper part will be open. So after sewing it, you bring it up a bit, you leave a space for you to turn it, to bring it out from inside. Then you now top stitch. So I'm not going to sew it to the end, so just go to like half of the length, then stop. I'll pull it out and top stitch the remaining opening. So the upper part, which I'm going to sew down, I'm not going to close that place. I don't think it's necessary. It is not really necessary, but you can choose to if you wish to, but it's not necessary since we are still going to cover it after all. So I have to give it some kind of notch to make it easy for me to turn. So be careful when notching so that you don't cut through the thread. And when sewing, give allowance for this notch already. So that is why you should sew at least 0.25 inches wide. So on both sides will be zero point 0.5. That is adding up 0.25 on both sides will be zero point 0.5. I don't know if I'm making sense to you. So at the end of the day, you see I was able to turn it out successfully like this. It's always easier like this because if I don't do it this way, it's not going to be easy for me to fix in the foam. So I prefer to make it this way because the foam will be inside already. I don't have to start foxing it in. So what you need to do now is to top stitch around. So you top stitch around. So you top stitch around, leaving the upper part open. You can choose to top stitch as well, but it doesn't really need. So you see what I've done. So I'm just going to show you how I did that now. So this is how I face the adjuster. What you do is you get your adjuster. Make sure you're placing it from the back side of the adjuster. This is the front side. The side we design is the front side. So you fix it on the back side, putting it from the first hole to the middle hole. You have three holes there, so putting it through the first slant to the second, the middle one, you bring it out. Make sure the upper one is longer, used to cover the lower one. You tuck it in under the lower one, then place it on your machine and run the stitch over it to secure it. You can go as many times you choose to, just to be sure that it is very secure. You can go backstitch as many times you choose to help you keep it secure. And the next thing you're going to do now, just keep turning it, make a rectangular sew there, and you can also cross box sew it like multiplication sign, just to make sure that it is secured. You can also apply this method on big school bags because mostly the handle tends to carry the weight of the bag. So you ensure that every place you are working on the handle, you are reinforcing the threads to hold it tight to prevent it from damage. So after doing this, you make sure you cross it like crossing it around just the way I did this now. Yes, then you cross to the other side as well to give it a multiplication sign. So in this case now, you are sure that this is secured already. And this was the same thing I did on the other side. As I always say, whatever you do, if you are doing making two, whatever you do for one side is what you should repeat on the other side. So I'm done with this now. The next thing is to bring our back panel and fix the strap. After fixing the strap, we round up by fixing the belt. Then we move on to the next thing. What I did here is that I just placed my tape measure on the notched part of the back panel. Take 1 inch downward and make sure you draw your line from the notched side to the 1 inch you already mark. At that point is where you're going to place your back strap. But before then, we are going to add this adjust the handle strap on it first, and this is how you're just going to place it. There's no a lot of ceremony doing. So having done that, just place the belt there and sew straight away. After sewing, you can now place your strap on each side of the belt. It's also going to guide you on where to place your strap. Just make sure you're leaving little space in between strap. That's is as simple as that. So after sewing this way, the next thing is to cover up with the belt. So all you need to do here is to give it a rectangular sew, and you can choose to sew it twice, and don't forget to fold the edges in to make it look neat. You can choose to sew it around twice because this place is going to be carrying the weight of the bag actually, and whatever you put in there. So I will advise you reinforce by sewing it twice if you can. So this is what you do. Just go straight, you bring it down, you take it down again. You can see all my rough edges of the strap has been covered, so I'm going to stop stitch that place I folded in as well, and you can choose to go around over it again. So the next thing now is to move on by fixing your strap, and that is going to bring us to the end of the back panel. So the next thing you should do now is to fix your strap to the adjusting belt down there. So after that, don't forget to top stitch as usual. So I have to sew the lining in to cover all the rough sewing inside, so that when a client look inside the bag, it doesn't look unprofessional, just to keep it neat and presentable and more attractive. It's part of adding aesthetic value to your product to make it sell out fast. So I decided to show you how I sew the stopper of the belt. So after folding it 4 times backward, you sew it. You do the same thing to the other one as well and sew it. This serve as stopper, and make sure you change the bobbin thread to match the upper thread since it's a bright color. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to fix the back panel to the front panel, which we have already fixed ourselves. So you place the notch part of the back panel upper part to the notch part of the gosette in the upper part. Place it. If you know you cannot control it, pin everything down. It will already give you the bag shape that you imagine. Then before you place it on the machine and sew, and after sewing, don't forget to depin. I always tell you this, always depin, so that you don't have problem with your clients. Then after this procedure, now the last thing we have to work on is the taping, but the taping bed is not still available. So once I get the taping bed, I will show you a video where I did the taping for the sake of our beginners. But for my old students, they already know how to tape. So I'm taking my time to to get enough fund to go to the market to buy some things so that I could buy plenty materials. I don't want to go because of transport. So now we've come to the end of the bag. The next thing is just to turn it out and see what we got, and make sure you always cross check if you have any opening anywhere. Maybe the machine did not sew mistakenly or accidentally jumped some parts, so you make sure you correct it before taping it out. Don't go and rely on because you're still going to tape it, you leave it open, it might not cover when you are taping. So it's better you correct that before taping. So these are the things I know. I will let you know. But if you have any question, don't forget to ask on the general group or even in the paid class, because I actually left this open so that you have enough time to practice, express yourself, and if you have any question for me, I'll be here to guide you. And don't forget to enroll in more classes. Thank you. See you in my next video. Bye.